Quick note, the pre-sale for the YouTube course officially ends tonight at 7 p.m. All the lectures have been posted. Hey everyone, me Kevin here. Today I want to start with a bit of a warning for everyone and advice for what it's worth. I really appreciate you tuning in and I want to help everyone as much as possible. Let me say this. New data shows that right now we're in a K-shaped recovery. A K-shaped recovery is where everything drops to a point, but then the rich recover almost immediately and everybody else kind of stays stuck in this sloth of going down. And that's very bad. So the rich get to cheer that, look, V-shaped recovery in the stock market, yay. You want to see where the W was? It was March 23rd and April 3rd. And that's it. It's been up since there. And that's true. That's kind of how wealthy people are looking at it because they're in stocks and real estate. Real estate never dipped. But that screws like 90% of people, especially when leaders in our government are like, oh, things are great. Just look at the K, you know, the top, the V, but it ignores the bottom portion of the K. And new data was just released by this company called Opportunity Insights. What they realized is they found that anybody making $14 or less per hour still has 20% less employment or less pay than pre-pandemic. For workers making between $14 to $20 per hour, levels are 16% below the pandemic. However, if you made more than $30 an hour, you actually have 2% more employment right now. And this again shows that everybody in the lower thresholds is getting screwed. And this is horrible. And so this is where, again, for what it's worth, we got to remember that the Fed, for example, can only do so much. The Fed's standing there going, hey, like everybody else is getting screwed. We're only bailing out companies and corporations here. Like there's nothing we can do. We can't print stimulus checks. We can't do unemployment. We're leaving behind a lot of people. 40 to 50% of Americans face eviction. And so here you go. For what it's worth, advice from just some random dude on YouTube. The best thing to do, obviously, when you get to at least some sort of semblance of stability to where we can get through this, because there's so much anxiety and depression right now. Even Lauren feels it. I feel it. Like, we're all feeling it. Doesn't matter who you are. But once you get to some sort of attempt at normalcy and stability, trying to determine how can we increase the value we provide to the world is going to be very, very important. That might mean you get a real estate license and you do what no other realtor is doing right now. You hold open houses in driveways and letting people view their homes or view homes with their masks on. But you're out there trying to grind and make money while other people are too afraid to do it. That might mean making Squarespace or Wix websites totally for free for people until you land a paying customer. Or you're doing 3D scanning business. There's so much of a demand for 3D scanning. I did an entire video on 3D scanning and exactly how to, how to do it and different cameras and all that. I'll link these things down below. Maybe this means learning how to become an electrician or a plumber or doing some coding. Whatever we can do to increase our value is going to be so important, because this pandemic has taught all of us that if you make less than $30 an hour, the government will gladly screw you and not care. And it's absolutely horrible. This is why we have more poverty. And guess what happens? When we have more poverty, we have more crime, and then poor areas become poor. It's a terrible, terrible cycle. And then you throw in racial tensions on top of that. It's just a disaster. This also means that if you have not yet taken mortgage forbearance, or you even have the slightest uncertainty, take mortgage forbearance. Like literally just take mortgage forbearance and get on a proper footing. If you have not taken mortgage forbearance yet, do it. If you haven't considered drawing on your 401k, if you have one, to protect on yourself, remember, you can withdraw money penalty-free for 3 years. If you haven't yet applied for food stamps, don't be bashful. Nobody cares. Do it right now. Call 211. Over 40 million Americans qualify for this. The income limits, I'll go ahead and put those on screen really quick. Here are the income limits. But seriously, call 211, or the other number is 1-800-221-5689. These are the income limits, at least at the moment. So keep that in mind. Okay, what else do we have? The Federal Reserve is warning us right now that a lack of a stimulus package passing or a stimulus package getting held back will cause even more layoffs and more of a holdback on spending. President Eric Rosengren of the Federal Reserve warned on Wednesday that the recovery is losing steam, and former Federal Reserve Chairwoman Janet Yellen urged, quote, urgent action, or called for urgent action. Yellen reminded everyone that the stock market is not the economy. She's doing that. Hey, the top of the K, the V that you see at the top, that's not the economy. You gotta look at the whole K. Rumor has it Mitch McConnell is on recess and he's at home singing, "All I want for Christmas is a stimulus package." He was so confident that the next stimulus package would come out of his office, and now we have nothing. Retail sales are up 1.2% last month, and retail sales are on track with pre-pandemic levels, which is kind of weird, but a lot of people are saying, don't hold your breath. This is probably because of all the unemployment pay that allowed people to keep spending. Data is already showing we're seeing less spending on building materials, cars, and sporting goods. All of those things, I guess, not necessities like what we are seeing spending on now, which are food, healthcare, and gas. However, many worry that the big prop-up in retail sales will fall away over the next month, which maybe that'll motivate Congress to actually do something. The White House today also responded to the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac new COVID tax that I reported to you yesterday. That's the new $1,000 fee for every $200,000 of loan that you refinance. For more details on this, check out a video that I'll link down below that I posted yesterday, and you can get all the details on that COVID tax. It's already in effect. The PPP application window has obviously ended August 8th, so we're going to see a lack of, or we might start seeing, some people are warning, we might start seeing more and more small business bankruptcies, which is the last thing we need right now. Remember, the PPP funding gave businesses enough money for 8 weeks of expenses, and they said they had up to 24 weeks to spend that money. Those 8 weeks are long gone. In state news, states are expecting to be down about $555 billion in tax revenue over the next couple years, and economists worry that this may cause more financial damage than states saw during the last financial crisis between 2008 and 2009. Remember, states are generally required to balance their budgets. They can't just print their way out of an unbalanced budget like the federal government can. In election news, Donald Trump is requesting his mail-in ballot in Florida. Quick note, and this is helpful for all of us to know, there are two things you can do with a mail-in ballot. You can receive your blank ballot in the mail. That's usually not where the problem is. So if you're worried about mail-in voting, remember, people can get their ballots in the mail, and then they can take that ballot after they fill it out, and they can drop it off at a polling place or an election collection site to where you're actually not putting your signed ballot in the mail. So you're dropping it off on election day or right before election day. That's an option to sort of bypass the postal service problems. You can, of course, also mail in a mail-in ballot. One is called absentee voting, where you get your mail-in ballot and you drop it off. And then, of course, there's just straight-up mail-in voting, where you vote by mail. One obviously creates much more problems than the other. So keep that in mind when you hear about this drama. In COVID news, immunity may only last for 3 months after you have gotten COVID. This is because the CDC is finding that antibody levels decline after 3 months without a detection. That is, they can't detect antibodies in you anymore after 3 months, which means you could catch COVID again. Vladimir Putin's new Russia vaccine for COVID has also received its first pre-orders from Vietnam. And remember, this is a vaccine that has passed fewer tests than Lori Loughlin's daughters who bribed their way into college. Also, remember around 6 weeks ago, the White House required hospitals to send data to the Department of Health and Human Services before that data goes to the CDC. It makes this mysterious stop at HHS now, and now reports are coming out from doctors and hospitals that this is delaying the reporting of real-time data, creating concerns for fighting COVID in hospitals. Nursing homes have also seen a recent spike in cases of 50%, a 50% increase in cases in nursing homes. Terrible. There you have it. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider sharing if you found this information helpful. And folks, we will see you next time.